there was a point where we thought, with the rise of the internet and social media, that things are recorded and stored and you can search for them, that you can catch someone in a lie. And these videos are gonna prove that it doesn't matter if you catch them in a lie. The video doesn't actually matter. But here is Paul Ryan. So we've been talking about how much this is going to cost. Okay, there have been estimates. Let's see if Paul Ryan respects those estimates.
It is estimated this tax cut is going to cost $1.46 trillion more to the deficit. Now, I know that the theory is that if you have more tax growth, you get more revenues into the coffer, and that reduces the deficit. But let me just put a fine point on it. Are you saying that the growth you're going to get from this tax cut will equal the amount it would cost on the deficit side, so that it's a wash, so that you're not adding to the deficit at all because of this?
Nobody knows the answer to that question because that's in the future. But what we do know is that this will increase economic growth.
Yeah, well, like if Paul Ryan was standing in front of me and I cock back my fist and throw it forward, who can say what'll happen? It's in the future. We don't know. No, they do know. They did estimates. Now, they could be off, we don't know for sure, but it's not going to pay for it. And to lie to the audience there and allow him to lie and say that we don't know is insane.
No, but it's actually slightly worse than that, because in the beginning, Paul Ryan, before this legislation was introduced, said it was going to be deficit neutral. That's a quote, and he said it over and over and over again. And he pretended to care about deficits. Now, it is, again, beyond a shadow of a doubt that Paul Ryan is a liar and never cared about deficits. All that talk about, oh my God, Obama added to the deficit. Wait a minute. George W. Bush, because of his giant tax cuts for the rich, handed Obama a $1.2 trillion deficit to begin with. Obama knocked it down to half of that in 8 years. You could say he could have done more to knock down Bush's deficit, but you never cared about the deficit. Republicans didn't then, they certainly don't do now. And then now they added a $1.5 trillion on top. So obviously their complaint about Obama was total political lie after lie after lie. Now, in the case of Paul Ryan, now he's turning around and saying, and I'm sorry, during the campaign to get the bill passed, he was like, oh my God, but it's going to lead to so much growth. I wouldn't worry about that $1.5 trillion deficit. Yeah, it's clearly creating, but don't worry about it because the growth and then, and everything will be fine. Now that it's passed, he's like, well, just kidding. It won't be fine. But no one can know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Wait, I thought you were the math whiz for the Republicans. I thought you were the budget guy and that you were the one with all the pie charts and you were the one smart Republican. And now all of a sudden, hey, what do the numbers indicate will happen? Besides which, we're all rich. It's already too late. We passed the bill, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna explode on top of your head. What do I care? I already got rich.
So when I was in so-called academia, I was a political scientist, not a historian. But I would guess that this is going to explode just in time for a Democratic president to have to fix it. Yeah. If I had to guess, that's what I would say.
And I'll tell you what, if you've got a real progressive president, not one of these stupid Democratic establishment guys who have the same donors, yes, they should be absolutely, positively unabashed. The minute they walk into office, they should undo all of these cuts. Every one of them, not like, oh, but now it's too late, or now, no. The minute they get in, they give everything to the rich. We worried about wealth income inequality? Well, all right, great. The minute we come in, we're gonna restore things for the middle class and not for the rich.
And that's a good first step.
Yes.
The taxes before this, the tax system we had before they just passed this last night was not acceptable. It was increasing income inequality on a yearly basis. This is just going to pour gasoline on it. But we needed progress, okay? This is purposefully regressing.
Yeah, no more Obamas. No more, they take 100 yards, we take 5 yards back. No, they take 100 yards, we're gonna take 200 yards. It's the Chicago way. Ironically, it's not because Obama's from Chicago. Apparently the Chicago way.
Let's go a different way. I don't know, like, how's Philly? I don't know.
Apparently the Chicago way is take 5% back of what they got. Yeah. Maybe we could call it the Vermont way.
Maybe, the Birmingham way. That's Vermont, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, let's go through some more videos. Let's try to keep it a little bit quicker because there's a few of these we want to get to. So we've got Paul Ryan. Let's see, what are these companies going to do with the hundreds of billions of dollars we're going to shower on them? Let's find out.
As I understand your argument and that of your colleagues, you're counting on corporations to take that money they now have and plow it right back into the economy, hire people, raise wages. It doesn't work if they don't do that. Is that correct?
No, all the studies show us that that is exactly what does happen. But first of all, Savannah, don't forget that we tax American corporations at the highest rate in the industrialized world. So we are convinced, and the studies are really clear, workers benefit, wages go up, more jobs occur. The vast majority of businesses are going to do just what we say, reinvest in their workers, reinvest in their factories, pay people more money, higher wages.
Let me pin you down on that, though.
The data is really clear, by the way. Workers benefit from this through higher wages. It's not a question of if, it's a question of how much they benefit.
So
everything he said was a lie.
We don't tax them at the highest rate. It's effectively a very low rate. So when the Democrats tried to add an amendment saying that if, I forget what the time frame was, if wages do not go up, if this does not result in higher wages, then we rescind it. They voted that down. Why? If you're so sure that that's what's going to happen, why not add that in? You might get a couple of Democratic votes on your side after you do that, because they know it's not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. TYT Investigates has done extensive reporting over the past few months on what happened specifically with the tax holiday the last time they did this under George W. Bush. It did not result in more jobs. Many of those companies went on to fire thousands of workers.
And not only 2004, but TYT Investigates looked into specific companies who either had their CEO or their lobbyists go out and say, oh yeah, lower taxes is going to lead in. They weren't even outrageous enough to say higher wages, because they knew that was never going to happen, right? But to say, they said more jobs. So then we went and investigated FedEx, UPS, Apple, Lockheed Martin, and some of which claimed, oh, we're adding the factories that Paul Ryan just referred to there. Not only did we find out that they were actually telling their shareholders at the shareholder meetings, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to start outsourcing and automating more. So shareholders, boy, we got great news for you. First of all, we're going to get you tons of tax cuts, which we're then going to have funnel a lot of it to you and a lot of us to executives, right? Secondly, we're going to cut even more jobs and save even more money. And good news for you, because when they talk to shareholders, they're not on TV where they can lie.
Yeah.
They have to be honest with their shareholders, or otherwise they'll be in legal trouble.
Yeah.
And with their shareholders, they're jubilant about it anyway. They don't have to hide anything. They're like, yes. So, and then in one of the stories, and you should go read all of this at TYT Investigates. So Apple claimed that they were going to start a new factory. And we went to try to figure out if in that area, the subsidiary they were working with had done any permits. If they had gone to the government and said, we'd like to expand our factory or do a new factory. And we found no. And they had to admit, no, there are no new factories.
Yeah.
There will be no new jobs. That was all a marketing gimmick. But Ryan still goes and does that because he's a professional liar, and he was purchased by those donors to go and tell these pretty little lies about how your wages are going to go up. And I'll tell you this ahead of time, I'll make any bet, any size, okay? Paul Ryan, here, take me up on it, 10 to 1, 100 to 1, wages are not going to go up. So you want them to do it at 2018, 2019, 2020? I'll take any year. They're not going to go up. We can study the top 500 companies, the top 1,000 companies, and if they took the tax cuts and actually grew wages, great, then I'll admit I was wrong, and whatever size bet you want to make, I'm happy to do that, right? But that's not what they're saying to their shareholders. They're saying we're not going to do that at all. We're just going to keep the money, which if you're a regular person, you know they're going to do that. You think out of the goodness of their heart, they're going to give you higher wages? There's no law that says give higher wages. It just says here, take the money and do whatever you want with it.
They're literally sitting on trillions of dollars already. How big does a pile of money need to be before you start to just on your own, just because it would be awesome to raise wages, would you do it? That's not how they function. We don't need to think ahead to the future. It's already the way they function.
And one more thing about that clip, he said every study shows this. That's completely the reverse. Every study shows that no, growth does not make up for the $1.5 trillion deficit. No, it does not lead to more jobs. The only study that he's got on his side is the National Association of Manufacturers. In other words, the guys who wanted the tax cuts in the first place, his own donors did a study where they said, give us the money and we promise we'll spread it around later.
And do you remember, I mean, you might remember a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we showed you, I think it was the budget director for Trump had a bunch of CEOs in a big audience, and he asked them, how many of you are planning on investing this new money that you'll have back into your companies? And a pathetic number of hands were raised. And he asked them that, why aren't you raising your hands? And they said, because they don't need to. If they needed to hire, they would hire. They would use the money they have currently. It's not going to happen. And by the way, I heard today, Donald Trump said AT&T is announcing that they're going to give $1,000 bonuses to like 100,000 employees because of this bill, which that sounds great. That sounds like exactly what they should do. And they also announced it 6 weeks ago. Before this bill, we even had anything like the final draft of the bill. They're just lying and now saying to curry favor with Trump because they know he wants to be able to take credit for something. They're saying it again today as if it has anything to do with the tax bill.
If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.